Okay, guys, welcome to the first demo in this course. Probably you have been waiting for a long time for the first demo, and now it's time to present it to you. And the first demo is gonna be about Burp Suite Intruder, how to use Burp Suite Intruder in practice, and how to use it for fuzzing in the context of SQL injection. So I'm going to do here fuzzing for SQL injection with Burp Suite Intruder, okay? So let's start. I've got a testing web application. This is actually an online shopping platform. And I've got some sellers here. Three sellers, David Cooper, Michael Green, and Mark Ross. And I can here do some searching by name. So I can put, for example, David here. I can search if there is David, and indeed there is David Cooper, right? And whatever I'm trying to search for, it is sent in the get parameter named search name, right? So you see the parameter search name, and the value is right now David. And now let me provide something random, right? If I provide something random, then there is no seller like this. And I see the message, we can't find any seller that matches search criteria. Well, this is expected because I provided some random characters. Okay, let me go back to sellers.php right now. We've got these three sellers. And now kind of, thinking about the story here. We've got some sellers, we've got some search functionality, and most probably these sellers are stored in the database, right? This is how it looks like in modern web applications, and there is a kind of database processing. So maybe I can provide here some malicious payload, and maybe I am able to do SQL injection here. Who knows? Let's check if this is possible. And now I'm gonna show you how to use fuzzing to check whether an SQL injection here is possible or not, okay? So the first thing that I have to do is I have to intercept the request going out from my browser. That's the first thing that I'm gonna do. Keep in mind that we are here in the world of web application security testing. So it's all about requests and responses. And when you wanna do fuzzing, then you need to have a request, right? So I'm gonna first intercept the request going out from my browser, and then I'm gonna send this request to Intruder. But step by step, first I'm going to generate the request from my browser, and I'm going to intercept it. What I've got here in my testing web application is Burp Suite free edition, and one part of Burp Suite free edition is proxy. What you can see in the upper left corner, and there is the so-called interceptor here. Now I'm going to turn on the interceptor because I'm going to intercept the request going out from my browser. And in my testing environment, the traffic going out from my browser is sent out through the proxy. So if I turn on the interceptor here, I'm going to intercept the outgoing request, okay? So this is how it looks like. So I'm going to turn it on. Now I'm going to go to my web application. And in the search name, I'll provide again something arbitrary. And yeah, search. Now let's go to my proxy. And here you can see that indeed the request has been intercepted. You see there is a search name parameter with some random value, right? Now, this is the proxy. It has been intercepted. Now I need to send it to Intruder. How to do it? Click right and choose option Send to Intruder. Okay. Now let me go to Intruder, and it is out there. Go to Positions, and you see this is my request. Right now, it is in Intruder, and this is what I wanted to happen. Okay. So let me now clear all these highlights, and let me show you how to instruct the Burp Suite Intruder where is my placeholder for malicious payloads, okay? So we are interested in the search name parameter, right? This is where we are sending our data that we want to, we want to find out whether a given seller is available or not. And we are providing the data out there, or the data that we are providing is sent in certain parameter, right? So this is my placeholder for malicious data. So I'm going to highlight this one. And once it is highlighted, I'm gonna click add. And now this is a placeholder for my malicious payloads, okay? So now I instructed Burp Suite Intruder that this is the placeholder for malicious payloads. Cool. Now you see the attack type is sniper. This is what I explained to you in the previous video. So this is the most popular attack type. Every single malicious payload from the list is gonna be taken and put into this placeholder. And yeah, this is how it works. So we also need the list of payloads, right? So let me go to the payloads here. And here you're gonna see payload options, simple list. Now I'm gonna load the list of payloads. And the list of payloads that I already introduced to you in the previous video is here. In the root directory, user share wfuzz word list injections, right? And now I've got it open, and you can see that there are different lists of payloads. There are lists of payloads for SQL injection here for path traversal. We've got also for XML, XSS, quite many different lists, which is really nice because it gives us an opportunity to do fuzzing for different kinds of vulnerabilities. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this demo, I'm gonna focus on SQL injection because this is the context, of this story, and I will click open. So all these malicious payloads have been, let's say, incorporated or loaded to Burp Suite Intruder. So what I've got right now is I've got a list of payloads already loaded. Here I've got my payload position, right? I clearly marked that this is a payload position. And the attack type is sniper, right? So it looks like we've got everything. Now let me go to Intruder here, click Start Attack, okay? And now what you can see here, a kind of pop-up message. The free edition of Burp contains a demo version of Burp Suite Intruder. Some functionality is disabled and attacks are time throttled. I will tell you something more about this when the fuzzing is underway. So let me click OK. And now I'm gonna tell you something more about this. I'm using here the free edition of Burp Suite. You can take it, as the name suggests, it's just free. And when you use free edition, then when the time goes on, then the speed of fuzzing decreases, right? This is how it works. So this fuzzing works perfectly good in Burp Suite free edition, but again, when the time goes on, then the speed of fuzzing decreases. And when you want to have, the maximum speed of fuzzing, then you've got a problem when you've got a free edition of Burp Suite. So if you want to have a maximum speed of fuzzing, then you just need to buy Burp Suite Pro. And I really do recommend you to do it because this is really, as I mentioned, the number one platform for web application security testing. But in case of fuzzing, this is it. So there's a kind of a limitation. But this is a limitation related to the speed of fuzzing. The fuzzing still works very fine, and you will see it in a minute. But you cannot, take out the most of it because this is the free edition. But in terms of, technical stuff, it still works. But it will be slow when you've got a long list of payloads, okay? So this is basically how it works. So now my fuzzing is underway. You can see the progress bar at the bottom of my screen. So right now I need to wait, right? And this is how it works. This attack is underway. And as I mentioned, this is the free edition, so it will slow down when the time goes on. But it works perfectly good. Again, I really want to emphasize this because I don't want to tell you don't use at all free edition. No, you can still use it, but there are some limitations, and I want to point them out, right? Okay, the fuzzing is underway, so I'm going to pause this video and I will come back in about 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like this, when the fuzzing is done. Then I'm gonna jump to the interpretation of the results, okay? So let me pause the video right now and let me get back after a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, I'm back. After a couple of minutes, the fuzzing is done right now. So the next step is manual verification, right? So we asked Burp Suite Intruder to do an automated attack for us. The automated attack has been finished. Now we need to go to manual verification. We need to find out whether there are some anomalies in the responses or not. So this is exactly what I'm going to do. Here you see the different responses, right? So like status, code, length of response, right? We can see different things like whether error has occurred, timeout, stuff like that. And here, of course, we've got payloads. And now we need to find anomalies, as I mentioned. So I'm going to do some kind of sorting right now in ascending or descending order just to see if we've got some anomalies or not. So I will click status here, ascending, descending orders, right? All the time I see 200s. Now error, the same, ascending, descending. All the time I see that, you know, nothing has changed. Timeout, the same, no anomalies. And length right now. Oh, can you see something interesting? Now I've got a descending order. So for one payload, the payload like this here, for this payload, I've got the length of response 10,604. And for all other payloads, the length of response is 4,933. So yeah, we've got an anomaly here, right? And for some reason, for this payload, we've got a length of response like over 10,000 bytes, right? It's interesting. So let's see what we've got here for the length 4933 in the response. Let me analyze the response right now. So in the response, I'll switch to render here. Sorry, we can't find any seller that matches search criteria, right? So this is what we see here when the length of response is 4933. But here, when the length of response is 10,604, I can see different names, and this is strange. David Cooper, Michael Green, and Mark Ross, these guys are the sellers. And now Russell Washington, Angela Harris, Daniel Robinson, Carol Martinez, and a lot more. This is surprising. So there are 3 sellers in my online shopping platform. And now when I provide this payload, I see a lot more people. So most probably these people are customers, because if I've got 3 sellers and I've got online shopping platform, then most probably the rest guys are customers. So it looks like we've got an SQL injection that results in fetching more data from the database than we are supposed to fetch. And yeah, this is something that really looks like a valid SQL injection. And you can take it right now and you can report it to the bug bounty program owner. And you can get money for a finding like this one. And this is how it works. So I found out an anomaly And then I decided, to analyze what happened here. And I figured out that most probably I see also the customers, and I shouldn't be able to see this data, obviously. So yeah, it looks like a true positive. And here is the payload that you have to send out to the web application, and then in response, you're gonna see a lot more data than you are actually supposed to see. So this is how it works. This is how fuzzing works. You see, we've got an automation and then manual verification. And now you can think about this payload. Why this one payload results in this kind of behavior? Why this payload results in SQL injection? And I will give you an answer. You don't have to go into the details here. Your point is to do manual verification and see if this is a true positive or false positive. You really don't have to go into the details of thinking of what might have happened out there. And this is also the power of fuzzing. If you know the recipe, just apply this recipe and then make an interpretation, find anomalies, try to figure out whether you've got a false positive or true positive, and you don't have to go into the details of a given payload because you don't know the implementation. Again, in 99% of cases in bug bounty programs, you don't know what is the implementation, and you don't have to know. In black box testing, it works perfectly good. I mean, you've got a payloads, you analyze responses, you interpret the responses, you interpret the anomalies, and you make some conclusions. And based on these conclusions, you construct a report and send it to the bug bounty program owner. This is how it works. So I want to tell you that you don't have to go into the details of why this particular payload might work or maybe not working, right? And this kind of stuff. I have found really nice 4-digit bugs with fuzzing where I had no idea why a given payload worked. I mean, I have some kind of ideas in my mind, but on the other hand, this is black box testing, and the goal here is to prove that a given attack is possible, right? And that's it. That's what I want to tell you. Okay, so basically, this is it for the first demo. I hope that you understand everything. And if you don't understand everything, don't worry, because in the next demo, I'm going to do the steps again, but in the context of different attack. So you will have more opportunities to practice with Burp Suite Intruder and fuzzing. So I hope it has been informative for you, and let me now jump to the second demo.